I forgot my mic again, of course. So, once again, I'm going to have to edit that out, right? I don't know why I forget that every time. Every single time I do that. Anyway, hello everyone. This is Mr. Lars, if you please. Once again, forgot my mic, so we will be editing that. So I'm going to do a little recap for everybody. Last we left off, I went into my coma. My sugar went to 872. My A1C went to 21.5, and which means immediate diabetic coma. And that is no fun, guys. No fun. Don't recommend it. Died for about 48 seconds or so. Brought back to life. Reanimated. And yeah, I don't recommend dying either. 0 stars. That's not fun. Maybe need to remind you to start. Yeah, no, you do. Like, I don't know. Maybe that is the key to me getting the handle on my mic, and maybe getting the handle on my voice, because I stumble on a lot of things because I have to like go over everything again because of my mic issues. Some new features. I got the donate section set up with Streamlabs in the about section, so people want to donate, follow, all that kind of good stuff. So if you're here and you want to follow, go ahead and follow. So covering all of that stuff and going through the whole emergency side of things. Oh, hey, thanks for the follow. Going through the emergency side of things, it was pretty intense. And there's a lot of this story that I actually don't have. You know, I only know what has been told to me out of this story, and there's been different versions of things and this, that, and the other, and that kind of leads me to my special guest here tonight. We're going to get into the portion after everything that led up to my coma, and actually into the coma and through the coma tonight. So got a lot to do in a short period of time. But I will say this, to everyone that worked on me during that time, to all the nurses and doctors and everything, man, I thank you. I wish I knew who you were. I really do, because I would give you the biggest hug possible. Like I said, dying's not fun, and like when you owe your life to somebody, that doesn't go away. And like I said before, I owe my life to my ex, and she made sure that I didn't just die there on the floor. Kind of changes the way that you think about things, the way you think about a person, and it changes a lot of different things. So, my special guest is here, who's going to give us a perspective of everything that I went over last time. We'll start with the whole business side of things and the stress that you're under. And this person has a unique perspective to this as well, because she was a business owner herself, went through it and built businesses, built companies, sold those companies, worked for other companies, and she's had a wealth of experience in that area. She knows a lot about, the mental stresses and the hidden, mental health issues of running a business, and how that is just rampant, and it's horrible what people go through. So, without any further ado, without any more gilding the lily, I'd like to introduce all of you to one of my favorite people in the entire world, my mom, Rita. So, this is my mom, Rita. Anybody, if you have any questions, if you have anything, feel free to hit it in the chat and get those questions. But I guess we're going to start with, I don't know, like, where do we start? Do you want to start with, like, just that last little bit of running my company and all that kind of good stuff? Like, do you have any ideas on that? Yeah. Well, I know that at that time you were coming to my office a lot, and this, that, and the other, and hanging around, and it was just an immense amount of stress. And, when you have the employees and stuff, you know what I'm talking about. Like, you've got to be kind of strong in front of them, because otherwise, like, if you show weakness, then they don't feel comfortable about the job and everything else. So
they eat you alive.
Yeah, Yeah, they do. So go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself.
Hi everybody.
I'm gonna sneak off for a
I'm
second.
Rita. My friends call me Ree. I want to elaborate a little bit about a business. Let me tell you, I've owned several, and they are very stressful. I mean, it comes to the point that you're so stressed inside that you just want to go out and scream. You've got to keep going, you know. You keep pushing because you know what's right is to keep your company going, to help other people. And that's one of the goals in life, is to make a mark. And the mark is,
Yeah, I think everybody has like a little bit of that in them if they run a business. Like they do have that part that they want to help. Now, maybe the stress and maybe their actions might not always be that, you know, like because like you end up being in a position to where you're reactionary to things. A lot of the times, like something just happens and you just react to it. It's like, I gotta fix this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem, this problem. And as your company grows, it doesn't get any easier. Like, yeah, you might have more money, but your bills are growing with the money as well. So
let me put a little bit in on that.
Okay, go
I
for
went
it.
to Laramie's company probably a month before he passed out with this coma. And he was writing things on the window. And in the building he was in, it had huge windows all in his office. So I go, "What are you doing, son?" And I'm writing what I gotta pay. And over here is what's coming in. And as I'm sitting there looking at it, my blood pressure is going up. What do you mean? $80,000. I go, "Son, I'm retired, but when I was running my company, it didn't take a skyscraper for me to write down all the things that I owed and I needed to pay, who I needed to invoice. You know."
Well, I mean, things get a little bit different these days, especially with the way the like electronics and communications. Yeah. So like I just found that like my whiteboards weren't big enough, so I just used the windows in my office.
It works. Whatever works, whatever floats your boat. But I could tell that Laramie was ill inside, but he'd just brushed it off. "Oh, Mom, I'm okay." He was down in his eyes. You see it in your child, no matter how young your child is. You realize when something's wrong in here. So I kept saying, "Son, are you resting? Are you getting enough sleep?" I know he's eating because
I never get enough sleep. Hell, I don't even get enough sleep now.
Yeah.
I try to, but
the main line in the candy, he's still like, "Mom, here."
that's where I got it from. So technically, it's her fault. It's your
my
fault.
fault.
It's your fault. You taught me. You taught me that. You remember the game that we used to play? Whenever I would come over to your house, like she always has a candy stash, and anytime I came to her house, I would be like, "Okay, you moved it. It wasn't in the same spot."
I knew he was coming over.
She knew I was coming. So the game is like, can I locate her candy stash? And man, I got good at it for a while.
Yeah, he did.
That was a fun game.
But
Her fault.
when you have period of time to have lunch, and even when you go to a business meeting, it's still, you got to focus on talking to the people. You don't focus on what your intake is.
Correct.
You don't focus on, is this healthy for me?
Move forward a bit.
But I don't think he has ever looked at it in that perspective. What am I eating? Is it healthy for me?
I didn't.
You know why?
Not at all.
'Cause I never have until I hit the age of 50. I moved out to the beautiful country and I raised my own vegetables, hunt, fish, the whole 9 yards. But I could tell Laramie was going down, not in appearances or anything like that, but inside of him.
Nah, of course. I'm not going down in appearances. I just get more handsome.
Yeah. And you're my perfect child. Yes, I understand, son. But you don't ever think something like this can happen to you. But let me tell you, I got a main line to God because this son of mine went down like a ton of bricks. You don't think it can happen to you? Look again.
Now, we're going to get into this part, and it's important for y'all to know. Actually, I've actually never heard this from her. I've never heard this perspective of things from her. I've talked to other people, this, that, and the other when I've had a chance, and it was just like when I got out of the hospital, everything was just focused on recovery, and it was just focused on, trying to stay positive, and anything that was negative around me would actually realistically affect my recovery.
Yes.
Same thing in a hospital, same thing when I got out and started going through recovery. Like, just any kind of negative thoughts would realistically actually affect my physical recovery. It's just a wild experience to have. But, so if everybody remembers, my ex found me laying basically face down next to my bed, mouth open, eyes open, just basically dead. And she got me to the ambulance, and it's okay. She got me to the ambulance and got me to the hospital, and then I died, and then they brought me back, and that's where she comes in. That's all I know about it. I've never heard it from her perspective. So if you could tell everybody about like what that day was like.
Okay. I got a phone call after several attempts. Nobody could locate me. I was out, but I got a phone call that Laramie was in the hospital. Didn't know why, just knew he passed out. And forgive me if I tear up or if I cry. He's my only child. Anyway, that day I got a phone call and it said Laramie's down. The ambulance is on the way to the hospital, get here. So, of course, I drove from a little town called Richards, which is in the National Forest, all the way to Houston. I don't know why I didn't get stopped, but I just kept asking God, don't let me have a wreck. Let me get by his side. That's all I want, is to be by his side.
Can y'all hear her fine, by the way?
I can speak up a little bit louder.
Yeah, please.
Let me speak up a little bit
A
louder.
little bit closer. There you go.
I rushed to the first hospital.
There we go.
And the parents of his ex was there. The most wonderful people you'll ever meet in your life. Grabbed me, hugged me, consoled me, and all I wanted to know, is he alive? When you have that feeling deep inside,
Hi, Nanner.
is your son alive or is he dead? You kind of grab your throat because that's what it feels like. Somebody just punched you right in the tummy. It's a knockout. So they gave me the address of the hospital that they sent him to, which HCA in Pearland.
Yeah, I was at Memorial Herman off
In the
of
beginning.
Gessner. That's who brought me back to life and stabilized me.
Correct. And they moved him to the trauma.
Did you ever make it to that hospital?
I made
Memorial Hermann?
I made it to the parking lot.
Yeah.
And her mom and dad was out there, and they said,
I didn't even know that they were there.
yeah,
Wow.
they were there. And they directed me, follow me, I'll get there. Well,
Say hi to her.
hi everybody.
Say hi, Nanner.
Hi Nana. Wouldn't say hi. Anyway, it's an experience that takes a lot of breath from you. And it didn't just take a day to heal. He's on his way to recovery, but it's going to be a long time. So the short story I want to give you is when you get to Pearland Trauma Hospital, you run in the doors. You don't ask questions. You just run straight to the trauma area, which I read. I run over everybody, get out of my way, get out of my way. I'm not a
I can only
polite person.
imagine.
I'm not a polite person to deal with right now. Just show me where my son is. I got in the room before he did. I'm sitting in a chair about to tear the cushion apart, and ambulance people bring him in. And you see your child laying there with tubes everywhere. You don't know if he's breathing. So I ask, is he alive? Is he breathing? What? Somebody tell me something. Well, who are you? I'm his mother. And I said it about like that. So give me info. He's being stabilized right now, ma'am. So I took a picture of him while he's laying there where I could tell him about this.
And I do have the
Ordeal.
picture. I do have the picture. I'll upload it. I'm actually making like a collage from then till now, like recovery kind of thing. So you'll get to see it.
My oldest sister is a nurse, Jackie, my sister-in-law, is a nurse, active.
My ex at the time was a nurse.
Yes.
Her mom was a nurse.
Everybody's a
Her
nurse.
brother was a nurse. Her other brother's a nurse.
Yeah.
In med school
So-
and a nurse.
All I'm doing is taking pictures of all these pieces of equipment. At one time, there was 13 pieces of equipment hooked up to him, and he was out. He was in coma. He's breathing because the machine's making him breathe. After they got him, laid him on the table, and I go to hold his hand, he's cold as ice. So that's when my prayers begin.
Still don't have great circulation. You're still cold.
I felt no squeeze. Our pact is if one of us is out, we're supposed to let them know. We'll be okay. No response. I stroked his hands and patted him until finally I climbed up on the bed and just hugged him. Give me a sign, God. He's going to be okay. And he kind of moved his eyelashes. That was my sign that he was going to pull through this.
I was completely out at that point.
Yes.
I have some very, very wild stories about that point. It's interesting because they always say that you can hear things around you in a coma, and you can't. That's just fact. You can't.
Let's skip to that.
Well, the big part of that is
He was in a coma for 7 days.
no, it was longer than that. It was like right at 2 weeks.
Yeah,
It was right
I'm
at-
saying.
I know that you lost track of time because you were
Oh,
there
yeah.
up 24 hours a day.
The nurses asked me to leave, and if anybody knows
Good luck with
me,
that.
I said, you might as well call them, put me in jail because I ain't leaving.
Yeah.
It's my son. And you know what? No one else bothered me. And his ex was really good about explaining everything that was going on. Jackie, Sabrina, Teresa. Every time I took a picture of a new piece of equipment, I'd call somebody, send a
And that's what it's for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
send pictures. Tell me what this means.
Yeah.
Aunt Jaxie would respond, and Teresa would what she could. And Aunt Bean would look it up, and this is what's happening. So I'm getting responses from everywhere. And of course, the doctors were wonderful. They'd come in, and this is the toughest part that I ever had to face in my life.
No, let's cover the first ground first. Let's cover the first ground first. Let's just hold off on that. Just
Okay.
it's okay. We
They
don't have to
brought
talk
in-
about.
they
don't have to
brought
talk
in
about that
a-
yet.
They brought in a machine, a dialysis machine. If you're not familiar with that, it's where it cleans your blood.
Blood gas.
Blood takes out, blood goes in. It's like a vampire.
And dialysis sucks, guys. It's another thing I can say through this experience. 0 stars. Do not recommend. Dialysis sucks.
Yeah.
How big was the hospital bill?
Really
It actually ended up being in the neighborhood of $120,000, but I've got some debt advisors working on that, so that's
Plus,
good.
he's alive.
Yeah, and I'm alive,
here.
so that's good.
Heck,
Anyway, so
hopefully,
let me-
hopefully you can tell your story, and some people that think it can't happen to them, it will happen.
no, true, and there's a lot of
Maybe
that.
they'll
And there's a
listen.
lot of that at this point because I've discussed the company and how it runs and everything else.
Stressful.
Well, when I went out, I never considered the fact that somebody might be able to not be able to unlock my phone with my fingerprint or my face because I had all the tubes and stuff in it. And then even when I woke up, like I couldn't even remember the passcode. And you know
No,
how
they
short
couldn't.
the passcodes are. But it's coma brain is a real thing. So while you're in a coma, you do hear everything around you. I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but this is my experience. So, but I did. I heard everything around me, and when I heard everything around me, it was really, really interesting because when you hear something and you're deep inside of the coma fog, there's like 2 sides to this thing. There's the clarity to where you can actually make out what everybody's saying and you can hear, right? And then there's the fog. And then the fog is like the most comfortable Saturday morning. Hi, thanks for the follow.
Thank you.
The fog is like the most comfortable Saturday morning when you don't have to take care of kids, you don't have to get up and do any chores, you don't have to do anything, and you remember, I can sleep in, and you stretch and pull the blankets over your head and start to go back to sleep. That moment, that feeling right there, it's like that for eternity. That's the fog. And honestly, I felt like that was like looking back on it, that was like death. That was like dying away if I would have like stayed towards that. But I kind of focused on like hearing things, and things got very interesting as far as hearing things. And
yeah, you said you heard me.
So the point is that your brain just interprets the things that you hear differently. It's not like having your eyes closed and hearing right now. So like when a truck commercial would come on, I would think that I got that new truck. Like, and my brain was making up like images in my head and imagination and like little stories to go along with what I was hearing to kind of grasp reality, because I didn't understand it, I guess. And I remember going to the dealership and getting this truck and driving it home and parking in the driveway and saying, okay, well, I got a new truck, I guess. And then I heard a commercial about one that really sticks out, is I heard a commercial about a duck.
A duck, yeah.
And this duck was rescued by using palm olive soap to clean this little baby duck up.
I've seen it on TV.
Yeah. And I heard the story and I thought, hey, thank you for the follow. I heard the story about this duck, and my brain interpreted it as that me and my ex actually got this duck and we rescued it and we cleaned it up, and it was at home right now playing with the bulldog. And in my head I was thinking, oh man, I need to get like a little barrel and fill it full of water so the duck has some place to play on the back porch, and maybe Pixie could be in there too. So that's how I interpret it.
It's wild.
But here's the weird thing. You see how the Coma brain interprets things now, right? Now, tell them what your favorite kind of movies and television shows are, because my Coma brain heard all these shows and everything that she was watching. So let's see how my Coma brain interprets that. Tell them what your favorite shows are.
ID, crime shows, horror movies.
So my brain had fun with that. At some point, I was a detective. Like, I changed careers.
Yeah.
In my brain.
I would ask him, I'd sit next to him, and I'd tell him what was on TV, and I was hoping that he'd hear my voice or hear something, and he said he was hearing it about being a detective.
Yeah. Well,
at
some point, you kind of make sense of what's going on and being in the coma.
Yeah.
And for me, like, I have my own little trap door that I kind of put in my head because I'm weird and paranoid, and I always have been, that I might end up hooked up to some machines and people are trying to read information out of my mind. Like, this is a simulation kind of thing. So I kind of came up with that a long time ago, and it was just like basic math. So if things added up and seemed proper, then my brain is functioning properly. But if they don't add up, then my brain is not functioning properly. And I did like...
Did you know that something was wrong because you couldn't wake up?
It wasn't. I didn't know I was asleep.
Yeah.
My brain was providing me with all the sensory information of going places and doing things with the things that I heard. Like the truck dealership, like I literally thought I went there. And then, and when you...
Did you adopt the duck?
Yes,
You did?
I really did. I have memories of sitting on the back porch with that duck and my dog and playing with both of them and holding the dog back, holding Pixie back and saying, no, don't bite the duck. Don't bite quackers, because that's what we called them, quackers. But anyway, but I literally like had memories of like, okay, like I got selected for some special program to become a detective for Harris County Sheriff's Department. Wow. I literally have memories of that. I mean, they are completely false. And another thing is that after a little bit, after my brain started to understand that, oh wait, something's wrong. Like I'm not actually experiencing this stuff and everything else. Once I figured that out, it was like, whoa, okay, start focusing more, start trying to stay more. Were your thoughts constant, or was the same?
And call your name?
There were dark periods. Yeah, the dark periods were the fog, like the sleepiness, and it was almost like you were going to sleep in a way. Yeah. So like when you would go through the conscious periods, it was like waking up and starting your day, but the foggy parts were like going different. And I'm actually kind of getting to a little bit of that like here in a second. And part of that is that once you start figuring out what's going on and you're in a hospital and you're not doing good and things like that, you start to pick up on who's who and what's what in a little bit, and your brain starts to kind of reassemble. And then you kind of do realize that, oh my God, something's wrong. I'm in the hospital and I can't move and I can't wake up and I can't do anything like that. So then you start focusing on everything that you can, and that's kind of what pulls you out of it, kind of thing.
Yeah, you told me that you started.
Hey, Draven. Yeah, I started putting things together, and one of the things that I think that helped me out, aside from the amazing freaking hospital staff, was that I started trying to pinpoint in the room where people, and try to get awareness of my surroundings through just listening, kind of thing. And then from that, once I got better at that and I started feeling like hearing more and understanding more and everything else, I started trying to focus on smells was my next thing.
Right.
And there were times that I could hear people, and the nurses, like, they were awesome because, like, even though I was in a coma, they'd come in and they would talk to me while I was in the coma. They would say, okay, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. They would like
They were the
talk.
greatest.
Yeah, they were
the greatest.
amazing. And
Yeah.
you know, that actually helps a lot. So if there are any nurses out there listening and you don't do that and you're dealing with a coma patient, please do that, because that does help out a lot.
Right.
And you're explaining to this, you know, unconscious, supposedly patient that's in this fog world that what you're doing.
Help
and that
them
gave,
get out.
yeah, that gave me a chance to go and try to smell and try to see if I could remember how to smell, which didn't go very well. And then I tried to remember how to feel and things like that, and remember how to feel surface skin and things like that. And
Is it smell because you like food? You think it had something to do with it?
I don't know why I chose that. I know I remember for a period of time I was trying to move and do something, but I couldn't get anything to happen.
Right.
So like one of the big things is that like I started realizing what reality was, and then I heard their voice, and I heard my best friend Dang's voice, and I heard his fiance Charisse, and I remember hearing Lynn, and I remember there was actually one, Lynn Tierney came to visit me while I was out, and he leaned up. I remember it felt like he was whispering in my ear. Like I don't know for sure. I'll ask him at some point. But he said, "Get your ass up and stop being lazy." But yeah, no, starting to piece that together. Then I started like kind of piecing together like a concept of time, really. And I remember I was losing chunks of time here and there.
But don't you remember hearing from Dang and Therese that one day?
Yeah.
They were at the foot of your bed.
Yeah, no, I do remember that. I do remember a little bit of what they said, and then it took a good like 3 months or something for some of these memories to like come back clearer.
Yeah.
Because some of it was...
You would ask me when you were awake, not in the coma, right after. He would say, "Where am I?
Yeah.
How did I get here?" And not just one time. We're talking about 3 or 4 times in one day, and that went on for days.
Yeah.
He just couldn't grasp.
I do remember one very important thing. And this is my emotional moment. This is probably your emotional moment. This is probably the most messed up moment out of all of this. But I was already piecing the world together and said, holy crap, I'm stuck in the hospital, that kind of thing. I was trying to force my way out. And I remember hearing the doctor talk to my mother at that time. And this is one of the big reasons why I brought you here, is because I don't know your side of this experience. I know this side of my experience. The doctor said I was in multi-systems organ failure and that I had like 2 days left to live or something like that. Like it was something along those lines. And I remember in me, I was really angry. And I remember being angry. I was like, why would you ever tell a mother that? Like, this, that, and the other. If I'm going to die, just let me die and let it be a surprise. But in reality, I kind of look back on it, and I got to kind of thank that doctor, because that anger, I used it the right way. It gave me fuel. It gave me fuel. It made me mad enough that I wanted to come out of the coma and tell him off. But no, I love the guy, so no negativity there. But it did give me fuel. It did give me motivation, and also a little bit of fear and stuff, and I chose to go with anger instead of fear because I was afraid I was going to die, and I was just really angry because I felt like he was hurt, like being like he was hurting you by telling you that.
No, when he came in that day, it was an experience that if you have children, if you have best friends or brothers and sisters, it's like somebody just slaps your head off your shoulders, kicks you in the tummy. Your son's probably...
So what, seriously though, what did you think in that? I can't imagine because I don't have any kids. And I know that there's people in the audience that do have kids. And I can only imagine that it is the most...
heart-wrenching is the word.
I can't imagine what you thought, what you wanted to do in that moment. Like when somebody tells you that your son, who's actually, older now and everything else, is going to die before you.
That's not fair. And that's what I said. It's not fair. He's not going to. I refuse. I held my breath, and if you can hold your breath as long as you can and then hold it some more, that's what I felt like that day. I ain't kidding. It's just...
I can't imagine what the people around me felt, not just you, but like my ex and her family and my friends and everything.
She was devastated. This was supposed to be her future, and they just said he's not going to make it. His kidneys are failing. His pancreas is failing. His bladder, his heart. Is there anything else left to fail on a person? His mind's gone? What do you mean
No.
his mind is gone?
I remember hearing her a lot in the hospital talk to me here and there. I remember those conversations. And I know that I put myself in this position. I do accept responsibility
But
for
you
that.
can tell them what
I
not
do.
to do.
I know, and that's the point of this. That's the point of
Yes.
it. That's why you're here.
Yes.
But I know that I put myself in this position, and I get that 100%, and it sucks. But like I said before about the patterns that we establish in our lives,
That's right.
you,
High pressure jobs,
yeah.
kids, family,
And
mother-in-law.
and if I would have just spoken up about some of the things that I was going through mentally, like I probably could have sought help for that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I probably could have had somebody to talk to. Probably could have went out to one of the public business organization funds and spoke to a business owner that I'm not connected to, that I have no idea. And this
Yeah,
and
but
that.
they're out there. Help is
Yeah.
there.
It's
Your
there.
mother's there.
Well, you gotta ask for it, really.
Yeah.
But you're so ingrained with this thing that you have to be strong, you have to be upstanding and move forward and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. And you can't keep it private. You have to open your heart. And that day I decided, after the doctor walked out the door, I fell on his bed and I said, Jesus, don't take him from me yet. Not yet. He's got another chance. Just give him that next chance and he'll live right. And I prayed that prayer every day. If you pull him through this, he will. He won't destroy his third chance. There
No way.
won't be a fourth chance. You got one chance to make it right, help others, and that's what this is about.
For sure.
No mother wants to hear that. Father, husband. And if you see it going on in somebody's life, that they're destroying themselves because they're stressed or hurt or don't know how to handle life, reach out a hand and give them a help.
Please do.
I've told his friends, you know my phone number? You know it? And you be still. You be still and you'll know who I'm talking to. Call me and I'll talk to you. I don't care if it's 2 in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Because I talk to you every breath. I don't even remember sleeping.
I remember tons of words that you said to me, and I remember tons of conversations that, and in my head I was responding. And one of the weirdest things is I remember hearing movies. So like I love Marvel movies and all that kind of good superhero movies, things like that. Anything with powers. I remember that in my head, it was another big tip off that, some of the movies when they were playing on the TV would like kind of run together, and some of the stories would blend together, and there were things that I had already seen. And I remember thinking, wow, this is a really bootleg version of this movie. And like I had that going on in my head like when I was out, but I also got a little bit of that when I first woke up. But we're going to get to that in just 1 second. We're going to take a very small break. I just saw Keone come online. I think he should be along shortly. So we're going to take a small break and kind of like recompose for a second. But we'll be right back. Everybody, stay there, and we're going to continue.
Once again I fall. Always the same routine in the morning. You always leave me without a warning. Without you here, babe, I'm feeling lonely. Come on and calm down my body, baby. I need your healing now. So don't leave. Spare me this feeling now. But it's okay now. As long as you're here. As long as I know. You fly back to me. But it's okay now. As long as you're here. As long as I know. You fly back to me. But it's okay now. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. But it's okay as long as you're here. But it's okay now. As long as you're here. As long as I know. You fly back to me, baby. It's okay now.
And we're back. We're back.
Hi.
I still say you give great motivation and Edna mode from The Incredibles. Yeah, no, Edna mode for sure. Like I love her to death. She's awesome. Well, thank you for calling me a superhero. But the real superhero is actually my ex. I owe my life to that woman.
Yes.
I really wish that I don't know. Like I'd want to share her details, but I don't share people's details. I don't do that. And her family as well. From the multiple times I went in for pancreatitis, taking care of me, and then her mom taking care.
Her total family is just awesome.
Yeah.
They really are.
Yeah, they are. Like when I went into Memorial Hermann for pancreatitis, they, she got stuff in line for me. It was like big deal, very big deal. But yeah, that's my superhero. I owe my life to that woman, man.
And I want to thank her to giving me back my son. Seriously,
yeah,
because he would be dead.
yeah.
And I couldn't have dealt with that.
It changes a lot
Yes.
of the way that you look at things when you come back to life and you get another chance on life. Like when I went through my pancreatitis and stuff, I honestly didn't really see it that seriously. Mentally in my mind, the most important things to me in the world at that time were my ex and my company, and that's it. My health didn't matter, nothing else mattered. That's all I focused on, and I was really hyper focused on that. And
Work.
yep. And I looked at work as a way of also making her happy and us progressing in life and things like that.
Getting a new house.
Yeah, getting a new house, all that kind of good stuff. I looked at that the same way as well. I looked at that as service to that as well, because in that relationship, I really kind of put everything aside just towards that, that much effort. Not getting too deep into that, but she definitely is my superhero. And you can't ever. I just like I can't understand what it's like to have a doctor tell you your child's gonna die. I can't understand it because I'm not a dad and I'm not in that position. It's hard for me to explain to somebody what it's like when you owe your life to somebody. It's, hey, Keone, how's it going, bud? Welcome in.
Hi. Hi, Jonathan.
So, I don't know. It's very different to owe your life to somebody, and it's crazy. Getting out of that coma though was probably, I mean, even running my business, probably it was actually the hardest thing to ever do.
Yeah.
Was getting out of that coma. Like,
You had to prove from upstairs, were you worthy of this next chance? Are you serious about getting healthy again and doing things right? And I mean from the perspective of a business person, from a person's standpoint.
yeah,
Do you care
correct.
about other people?
Correct. I mean, it's not, and it's not just, it wasn't just about like eating right and being healthy, but it was also, you know,
Mindset.
yeah, like,
Mindset.
am I truly helping other people? Like, granted, like a lot of situations, you know, I messed up throughout my life and stuff, but at the same time, I always tried to do the right thing, you know, and like do something good for somebody else and try to be honorable, I guess is the word. But I was never like openly positive about it to people, like openly trying to motivate people and do more. Like I would get people in my life that needed some motivation and things like that, and I would kind of focus on them. Keone, you know that. And I would always reach out and try to push those certain people, but I just didn't make it as public. I was a much more private person then. Where did I get the glasses? These are the Ray-Ban Stories. I got
You
them.
can see now.
I got them from Lens Crafters. I had no idea my eyes were so bad until I got glasses. First time I ever went to an eye doctor in my entire life.
Diabetes affects more than just one part of your body. It affects your total being.
Correct. It affects your diet. It affects literally everything that you do.
The way you live and breathe. Don't let diabetes get you down though, because that's the one thing that'll take you down.
Oh, I know. I mean,
Yeah.
from when I first came out, let's talk about that. When I first came out, when I first came out, I was still dealing with coma brain, and then I was trying to watch TV, and yeah, there were a lot of times that all the TV shows kind of blended together, and I remember coming out. I remember actually coming out. There was a moment I was trying to move my eyes, and I fluttered them for a little bit, and then the first thing that I saw was her with a tiny little stuffed pig,
Yeah.
because it was a representation of my dog Pixie, who we called
The little
Piggy.
piggy.
Yeah. And I saw this pig and her standing over me, and she freaked out and her eyes got big and she started screaming and hollering at people
Yelling
and
for the nurses.
everything else. Like a week and a half, like almost 2 weeks, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
I think it was like,
They moved you out of that one room, and what was the nurse's name? The male nurse. I called him Spencer forever, and that wasn't.
that wasn't his name, but
That wasn't his name.
I do remember he's a nice guy. I really do wish my brain worked better so I could remember these people and go back and give them thanks, because they truly do.
Mine's
thanks.
just the trauma.
Yeah.
That's
I
what
mean,
I remember.
nurses have an extremely hard job, and it just comes from somebody that was, you know, with a nurse for a very long time, and they have this ability to like compartmentalize that work and then the regular life, which is absolutely amazing, because there's no way I could ever go and deal with a day of work like that and then come home and be happy and think that I'm just gonna watch TV or something. Like I just couldn't do that. That's just beyond my capabilities. So as I was coming out, like I was surrounded by all these wonderful people that that just started helping me, and they were just, some of them just had such great positive attitudes, and that's kind of where I got some of this from. It's just they had these great positive attitudes that like would make you want to do things, right?
Right.
So when I came out, I remember gasping for the first time, and I had tubes, and I was like, and I felt like I was gonna puke, and then I went right back in. I remember that. Is that how it happened, or is that like my brain twisting things up?
It happened just like that.
Oh, okay.
You had tubes in your nose and in your throat, and everything else was taped up to machinery.
Was it just you there when I came out? Because that's all I saw when I came out. Okay.
Yeah, she had already left. She had to go to work, and I told her if there would be any updates, I'd text her.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was so hard on both of us. Just,
Constantly
what do we
being
do
there.
next?
I'm sorry for that. And if she's out there, I'm sorry for that as well. I really am.
This is going to be a useful tool that you're going to be able to express to people what to do and not to do.
Yeah.
But when you woke up and was trying to say something, I know I just threw this little peg across the room, and he still has the little pig.
Yeah.
That's a treasure.
That pig, man, I remember that like very vividly.
That they got all the tubes out, and the doctors kept saying, "Son, you're not supposed to be with us." And I go, "But he is. Prayer is stronger than what you think."
I do remember like when I first came out, like my vision was like really weird. It was almost like a bloom effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like for those of you out there that play video games, like a bloom effect. Like the whole world had a like shiny bloom effect on it. It was really strange, very strange. But yeah, when I came out, it was very interesting to try to grasp the real world again. And I remember,
what am I doing here? What am I doing here?
Yeah. And there were a couple times that like I was very, very scared to like go to sleep and rest, and everybody kept, because I didn't know if I was gonna wake up again. Yeah. So I was terrified to rest. And there in the beginning, I was really, really terrified. Every single time at the hospital, they got to the point in the day, I remember that feeling of being terrified to go back to sleep because I didn't know if I would wake up again.
That's scary on your part.
Well, that's why I stayed up so much.
You didn't know. I was sitting by your bed doing like this.
Yeah.
Is he breathing? I'd see his chest move. I go, okay, relax a minute. Is he still breathing?
I don't know. I was terrified to go back to sleep because I didn't know if I'd wake up. So.
But the doctors at that time told us that you would be on dialysis
for the rest of my life.
For the rest of your life. So we was hustling,
Dialysis
trying
sucks.
to find someplace close to where they live to do dialysis. And his ex would say, there is a place and I'll take care of that. So I saw one driving to his house, which is really close, less than a mile. Yeah. So we had already planned to go there to do his dialysis 3 days a week is what they had you scheduled.
Yeah. But the big deal was is that I honestly think the only reason I recovered, and this is kind of like the whole point of this coma story right here. And we're going to be like ending this chapter tonight, and we're going to go into like the physical therapy recovery stuff like after that, and then we'll get you all up to date all the way up until this point. But tonight, I will say the thing that got me moving more than anything else was those nurses and their positive attitudes.
That's right.
Little guy, when he came in that room and picked my giant body up out of nowhere and just helped me up and just motivated me, wanted me, like he would bring me and sit me up, and I would have to learn how to sit up again. And like, my arms didn't work, my legs didn't work, nothing worked, and we had to work on my core and try to get me moving and things like that.
Show me your hands, because his fingers didn't work.
These still don't really work that great, but I wear the gloves because they kind of make them feel better because of the pressure sometimes, and then I take them off. Yeah, but just his attitude, it made such a freaking huge difference, man. That little short guy, man, like he would come in and he would be like, all right, man, all right, all right, come on. Today we're gonna have you tapping your foot. We're gonna have you tapping your foot. Before you know it, you're gonna walk and everything. It's just, amazing attitude, man. I would love to go back there and say hi to those people and say
Are
thank
we allowed
you.
to say what hospital it is?
Yeah.
It's Houston in Pearland, HCA. What's
Yeah.
it stand for?
I don't know. I could go find one of the bills.
HCA.
That darn sure has their name on it.
HCA of Pearland, the trauma center. Because there was a hospital and then there was the trauma center. And Larry was in the trauma center. And let me tell you, you could not ask for a better bunch of people in your whole life.
Yeah.
You know, they had the special effect that it took, and it was right here because some of those people were their heart was with Laramie.
I remember one period when I came out, there was this one lady that would come and like clean me up and like bathe me and stuff. And I was still kind of weirded out from my coma. And like my brain wasn't working right. And she had like multicolored dreadlocks or something. She was so nice. She was really, really nice. Oh yeah, her name was Phyllis.
Yes.
Phyllis. Okay. So
At HCA.
I remember that line from Adam's Family, where he's like, "I think I'm gonna fall in love with a voodoo woman named Phyllis, a witch doctor named Phyllis." Or was that? No, that was from Waterboy, actually. Fell in love with a voodoo woman named
that's
Phyllis.
it.
Yeah. Your daddy fell in love with a voodoo woman named Phyllis. But yeah, that's what my brain was thinking. I was like, oh, jeez. But yeah, and it's really awkward. Like one of the most humiliating things. And like, I don't even want to say this, but like, I gotta say this because like this is one of my motivations to never end up in that position again. You don't know what it's like in life until you have to ask your mother at 39 years old and the love of your life at 39 years old to wipe your butt. You have no idea how humiliating and humbling that is.
Yeah.
Every bit of ego that you have about yourself, out the window. That's it. It's game over from that point.
He told me those exact words.
You have to really start thinking about your life priorities differently at that point.
So right.
So, I got 2 tips of advice for you guys. If you know a nurse, go out there, hug them, and tell them thank you. Number 2,
Really?
think about who you have in your life that is okay that you can ask to wipe your butt. Because it might happen to you. And you need to have somebody on deck ready to wipe your butt. Because it is kind of awkward to have these really smiling, positive nurses come in and wipe your butt, and they
laughing.
and laughing about
And
it.
what are they laughing at?
I'm 40 years old. The information is in my bio is like what, June 7th, 2021 that I went in. Yeah, so it's been like 6 months or so, something like that. Yeah. So that's think about who you have in your life that'll wipe your butt. You can always count on your mom. I can say that. And if you're in a committed relationship, you can count on that person because that was the most awful thing I ever had to ask of somebody. I hated it. I didn't want that to happen.
You learn what the word unbelief means.
Yeah, true. Very true. So
But you also find out who is really on your side.
it's true. It's true.
You know who?
I mean, if you're really active and social and stuff, I was surprised about the amount of people that came out and supported me and came out to the hospital to visit me, to take that time to come in and spend some time with me, and it was just amazing. And I'm still amazed by each and every one of those people. I would have just crawled in the tub.
He wanted to.
I wanted to, but my tub was
crawl in the hole.
Yeah, but my tub was upstairs, so I couldn't even
Can
do
you
that.
believe that? A 3-story house.
Yeah.
And
Well, it was like 2, but like the stories were like
2
every
story,
levels.
3 different
yeah,
steps. Yeah. He couldn't make it up in the beginning.
No.
No.
Well, at that point, I'm gonna leave this open to any of you that have any questions whatsoever
For either of us?
kind of thing, because she went through a crazy event. I know I went through a crazy event.
I wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
Except for him.
I mean, for me, like, because I was explaining a little bit ago, like, you know, run the company and everything else, having everything on lockdown and secured as, like, I like to have things, you know, nobody could get into my phone because my hands were covered in dead skin. so he couldn't read
Yeah.
your fingerprint. Had tubes and stuff all over my face. I looked very different, so facial recognition
Can't
didn't
see
work.
into it. Yeah, you wouldn't open your
Yeah.
eyes.
And I could not, for the life of me, remember 6 digits to put in my phone.
That's right.
I had one finger that was working, and I had her holding the phone, and I was
doing this.
because I needed to get a hold of my attorney who could help me out and get things like settled for me and like take over that position in my life. Now I have things in place for that.
Yeah.
Because I never thought that I'd be in that position. I thought that maybe I'd get hurt, go in the hospital, and I could still unlock my phone and still, call people and talk to people.
No.
But I couldn't even have a conversation with somebody because I couldn't remember anything.
And a
about
lot
the
of
minute.
people would tell me when I finally got in the phone, we can't talk to you.
Yeah.
What do you mean? He's in a coma. I mean, he just got out of a coma.
Yeah.
And I'd like to answer the question. Nope, can't click.
Yeah, because I couldn't even understand half the questions people were asking
Yeah.
me. I just,
He wasn't ready.
I wasn't there. And there were times that people came to visit me and people talked to me and stuff that I didn't remember, but now that my brain's recovered, which, I don't think it'll ever really fully recover, but I don't know, was I this weird before?
Yeah. I would do it for you again, and I'd do it for my sisters and my brother. So you think about who's sitting next to you. Would they take care of me?
Yeah,
It's very
I would.
much.
She already has. And I feel bad for having to put her through, and it really kind of is wild to sit and think when you're 39 years old. She lived with me for 6 months through my recovery. Think about that. You're 39 years old, about to turn 40. You have your own house. You have your own everything else, complete adult, and then your mom has to come live with you and take care of you.
On the sofa.
Yeah. Just glad that your ex was there because it could go through. Oh man, I know that feeling. It's horrible to lose somebody important to you in your life, man. And I'm glad that I made it through. And I'm very glad she was there too. Like I said earlier, man, that woman was my superhero. She still is, still to this day. You can't repay somebody for saving your life. Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
There's nothing you can do.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Nothing.
To
All I
each
can do,
their own.
all I can do is show her and her family and you and those doctors and those nurses, all of them. I can show all of you that it's not wasted effort on your part. That
And that's the part I love.
I am being healthier.
Yes.
And I'm trying to spread that message of that. I am being more positive because I see what it gave to me, to my recovery, and how it helped me to be that positive. That is my mission in this world now. To bring awareness to things that
See.
people don't think about, and also try to handle everything with a positive attitude. Because
Yeah.
then, to know darkness, you have to know light. There's always a
Yeah.
positive way that you can look at things. Hey, I went through all of this. Guess what? This is the most epic diet plan ever. It costs about $120,000. You got to go into a coma. You come out with nerve damage, but man, you can lose 50 pounds in a month. Stamp of approval, for sure. There's always a positive way to look at things. And I'm happy that I'm here. I'm thankful to them. I'm thankful to you.
Yeah.
And I'm thankful for all of you here listening to this story. And hopefully it can help somebody out there.
else. Maybe you'll see the warning signs, like Laramie said. He was in the hospital a few months prior with pancreatitis, and he didn't still.
Well, the
see
big problem is that I wasn't seeing the negative patterns that I were establishing in my life.
Correct.
Instead of like ducking my head to things and
Yeah.
just getting into a pattern of trying to do things, and like when you run a business, like there's a lot of times when you run a business that you just put your head down and you do the work and you just push through it, power through it.
Bulldoze through it.
But not everything in life can be handled that way. There are times that you need to take a stop, take care of mental health.
Yeah.
Will drive you to do things and get into certain patterns that you just can't. You can't see the kind of damage that they're doing immediately.
But
So.
that attitude right there is what's going to get you out of this.
Oh, I know.
It's not going to stay in that chair.
Keep in
Any
contact.
questions?
Do I still keep in contact with everyone? I try to, not as much as I would like. I want to reach out more. I do, and I try my best to reach out more. There's just a lot of different things
I would
happen over
like to
that time.
get the address of the mother and the father where I can send them a card. Just give me their address, because that's something my mother wants to do. Is I wrote the hospital and recommended several of the nurses for the DAISY. It's called the DAISY Award at HCA Pearland. But I'd like to tell them thank you.
I'd actually like to go back over there. We need to take a day and go back over there. Go back to
We'll
the
see
floor.
Kobe.
Yeah. Well, see if like it's the same nurses in rotation on the floor. Probably
Yeah.
not. Who knows? But
Oh, that's another thing. The little guy that did your physical therapy in the hospital, they're the ones that donated this chair, and they also donated so many visits of
physical
physical
therapy.
therapy.
Mhm.
And that really got him going, that not just the product, but the things that someone else stepped out of their zone and gave. They gave him this, and it helped him with his life now. And it's been several months past. We're not there yet, but we will. We'll be there.
True. I mean,
Enough.
I don't know. There's a lot of messages in a lot of this. I mean, another really good message is the fact that business owners 9 times out of 10 think that they're Superman, because they're used to defying the odds, right? You know,
Yeah.
you don't go out and get a job, you create a job for yourself. And I don't like the way that this company runs, so I'm going to create my own business. I'm going to do things my own way. And you have that like bullheaded spirit. So yeah, it's you end up just being bullheaded that way, that you're going to do it your way. And 9 times out of 10, you think that you're Superman, and you're not, and you don't have a backup plan in case you go out of commission. You know, like a lot of business owners don't. I mean, because the different,
That's a good point.
it actually
You need
comes
a
from,
backup plan.
yeah, actually comes from Red Nanner as well. I mean, we've had conversations, me and her have had conversations about this many times. And
All business owners ought to do that. Because I never had a backup plan. He was my backup plan.
thank you. Positive vibes to you, man. Like anything that's going on with you, try to look at it in a positive way. There's always a good spin you can put on anything. You know, and like even if you don't believe it deep down, you know, once you get yourself in that pattern of just being a positive person, then it actually helps you become a positive person.
And it has.
It helps you become that. I mean, it's kind of like just like going through the motions in a way, but like if you train your mind to think of the positive thing first and the right thing first,
The negative
then
just slides by.
it goes away. It
Yeah.
goes away. So to finish what I was saying about the business owners, also go out there, have your backup plan. Think about who's going to wipe your butt. So we're going to end it there for tonight, guys. It has been an absolute pleasure to be with every single one here. And
Thank you.
yeah.
I love you all.
To those out there that helped save my life, I love you and thank you. This is Mr. Lars. Once again, stay focused, stay positive, inspire, and overcome. I am out.
I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, 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 no. See, we was cool right before I hit the fence, but it hit the fan when I got him down at the bench. When I took a break, I had to leave and go get cleansed. God forgive me for all my sins. I can't say these, cause my last name ain't Kent. Cooking on the stove, that's the way he paid the rent. Working on the pole, that's the way she paid the wish. Better watch your soul, cause you know they trying to get it. Yeah, yeah. I learned my right from wrong on a song. I let my heart bleed on my sleeve through microphones. I'm trying to right my wrongs by writing out my wrongs. Ran through a check, cause it's hard to live off bread alone. So if you see me slipping, yeah, let me know. Cause it ain't the end of times yet. I know, but it's getting close. Yeah, I need my space to breathe. That's why I be going ghost. I ain't trying to stay up on that wide road. Cause I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. They thinking I'm bluffing, but I promise I do it. That K got a drum, like murder and booming. Sending you vert, if I get my little Uzi. They thinking I'm crazy, I'm gon' see you the haters. People I'm saying, get what I'm painting. A picture big, I call it little baby. If I'm on the board, then we playing chess. If you on my way, you gon' need a vest. Act big, you might get stretched. All your gun talk, I ain't impressed. My 45 seen real traffic. That's Dallas, Texas. My little partner called a body for a Maserati. He told him get about the car, hit him with the shotty. That 12 gauge, gave him life in the 12th grade. I tried to write him, but we ain't on the same page. I caught him slipping, I just had to let him know. It ain't the end of times yet, I know, but it's getting close. These demons really out to get you, so you better guard your post. There's certain things I could probably let go, but I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. Oh, I can't let them take my soul. Nah, no. I can't let them take my soul.